Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Rockies Daily. I'm your host, Scott Airsware. If you guessed it, we talk all things Colorado Rockies. And look, folks, I've had to record that intro about 4 different times. I'm still battling a nasty cough. I'm MJ. I'm getting over the mountaintop to record these Rockies Dailies. But listen, you're not here to listen to me mope. You're here to get your Rockies daily fix in. So let's talk about the Colorado Rockies and let's talk about the silly Chris Bryant drama that we got over the weekend. That we heard from a Chicago radio station that he was denied the ability to go to the 2016 reunion where the Cubs were celebrating. He was denied that from the Colorado Rockies. So you just got this hellstorm of people pissed at the Rockies. And it was a mess. And then it came out, hey, the Rockies actually completely denied this, and this is a fabricated story. And I would like to believe the side of the Rockies. Now, obviously, if you're here, you're probably like, well, yeah, you're talking about the Rockies. You're a Rockies fan. But I'm not always going to choose the side of the Rockies. Like, I think if you watch some of the videos, it would be clear that I know the Rockies are capable of some very, very stupid things. But I would like to believe that this new front office would not do something like that to put a bad taste in the mouth of a player, of future players interested in coming to Colorado, where it could come off as, hey, this is an organization that really doesn't respect where players have been. And so I like to see this more as a radio station, maybe just kind of being in the moment, getting something wrong, and that being that. So it was an interesting thing, though. If you go on Twitter or social media still, most people, I don't think, have really seen the two reports that have come out that the Rockies have completely denied this and say it's not a true story. Now, it's a lot of Cubs fans being frustrated with it, and it's hard to blame Cubs fans, right? Like, if that was the first thing I read of, like, a player who, let's face it, if Chris Bryant's thing happened, let's say it was Nolan Arenado, Nolan wins a World Series, and then kind of had the injuries that Bryant has had, and we saw something like that, I would be a full enraged madman, right? Like Viking helmet, charging in, and that, so I get it, but it isn't true, or at least I really don't think it is, because it just wouldn't make sense for the Rockies to deny and to lie about something like this, because if they're lying, and Chris Bryant tomorrow is like, yeah, they deny me, it just makes them look so much worse. It makes them look so bad as an organization. And I just don't see this front office doing that. This front office has been so calculated and so methodical in everything that they've done so far in terms of how they've built out really a lot of these different positions that we're actually going to talk about here shortly, and how they've brought in some of these different free agents. That why would you then just stumble completely on your face on something like this? And if you did deny him, just be like fully truthful about it. Yeah, hey, we don't like this Chris Bryant guy. We denied him because truthfully we're pissed that we're paying him so much money, right? Like, okay, you know what? That's still gonna tick some people off, but at least you're being upfront and honest about it. That's what I think they would probably have said if they denied Bryant. It just makes no sense to deny and lie. So I don't think they denied him. I think that there's probably a bit of misunderstanding, and it's just a perfect off-season story where baseball fans, like, we've got nothing else to do, right? Like, we're still in the dead of winter. We're tracking, like, minor league free agent signings, and we're getting excited about it, right? Like, we're watching AAA highlights, telling ourselves this guy's going to be the next thing. So I get it. Like, it's an off-season buzz story, but I think it's just buzz and nothing else. But obviously you're going to see Cubs fans probably hurl some insults at at the Rockies. And so if you see that online, you're like, what is going on? That's probably why. So just a heads up if you're scrolling anywhere online. But let's talk about the front office because they made another hire, right? So you had this drama with Chris Bryant, but really one of the strengths of this front office has been how they've started to really build things out that we have never seen before in Colorado. We've never seen a front office in Colorado actually have this kind of staff where you're like, oh, didn't realize we could have all these different positions. And that's what Paul De Podesta has really talked about, is really building out a front office that can look similar to the rest of Major League Baseball. And that's what we get now with this hire of Chad McDonald. He's going to be special assistant, player personnel. He's worked with both GM Josh Burns and Paul De Podesta. He's worked with the Diamondbacks, Padres, Mets, Braves. Has a really solid background. And once again, it just is affirming how this front office has worked in year one. Really, year zero is what you could call it. We haven't seen any baseball actually being played. But you have to be just really pleased with the direction that we're headed and the direction of how they just continue to methodically build this out. But there's obviously, the other end of that sword, if it's a double-edged sword, where, like I said, there's no baseball being played. So you can have all these hires. You can make all these moves that sound like, hey, this is going to be great. But if baseball's bad for, 5 straight years, 3 straight years, you're going to say, well, what the hell are these guys doing? But that's a long ways from now. I don't think any of us expect 26 to be good. I don't think any of us really expect 27 to be great. But, there's going to be a nice long leash for this front office. And the important thing is to actually build. And hires like this is building that foundation. So I like the hire. I like that they just continue to build and build and build. It's exactly what you want to see. But when you build, you also have to have guys that are part of it that can help establish a culture. And as I just mentioned, no games have been played, so who actually knows? But Michael Lorenzen is saying just all the right things. He did an article in the Denver Post of Patrick Saunders, and he had some really interesting quotes, and he really, it's hard not to be excited about him. The first thing that the article talks about is how he's actually bringing in new pitches. He's going to be up to 8 pitches coming in Coors Field. He's going to be, he says he has multiple fastballs, but what he's most excited for is his changeup and how that will be at Coors Field. And so it was so refreshing to read and to get some of his quotes for a guy that actually wanted to come and take on the challenge of pitching at Coors Field. Now, it's one thing wanting to do it and another to actually succeeding. However, what a really positive mindset to bring in someone that isn't like, 29 teams don't want me, I'll go to Colorado. This is a guy that wanted to come to Colorado. And he had one quote in here that was, you can look at the word problem in a negative way, or you can look at the word problem from the perspective of opportunity. That's always intrigued me about Colorado. And so he wants to take on the challenge. If you need to get fired up about an article or about a player, this is the one. Just as we head into 2026, and it's these kind of things that can help establish a culture that has been plagued for the last 3, 5, 7 years. And so these are the kind of guys that you need to bring in. Now, like I said, the goodwill could evaporate pretty quickly, right? First game pitching, 3 innings pitch, like 10 earned runs, get shelled, right? The goodwill can evaporate quickly. But I think it's a lot more than that. You need guys that can establish hey, we're gonna take this challenge head on, and instead of fear it, we're going to admire the challenge, and we're gonna conquer the challenge. That has to be the way you think when playing at Coors Field. Otherwise, it will just eat you alive, and it's eaten a lot of pitchers alive. So it's very interesting to see. But the article was just overall kind of a treat because it really seemed like Lorenzen wanted to come to Colorado, which you just can't say much about for a lot of pitchers. Not a lot of pitchers are desiring the challenge of Coors Field just because of all the risks it can do to your ERA, your ego, your whatever. So really positive stuff coming from obviously one of the newest free agents in Michael Lorenzen. And then I figured we'd end the show talking about former GM Bill Schmidt, signed with the A's as a special assistant to scouting. And look, there's no ill will to Schmidt. He was in a position that just felt like he was going to fail from the start. It was just a really big challenge. I don't know if he was necessarily the right fit for GM for Colorado, but he's still extremely talented and has been in baseball an extremely long time. He won the West Coast Scout of the Year in 2019. The dude knows how to scout, and so I think this is going to be actually a really positive signing for the A's. And you just hope that, obviously things can be better for him in Sacramento and then Vegas than it was obviously at the end of his time in Colorado. Just as Bud Black signed with the Padres, and you cheer on Bud Black, right? Like, these guys didn't drag the Rockies into the ground or anything like that. It just didn't work. And so we commend Bill Schmidt for everything he tried to do, even the things that he didn't do, and we wish him the best in Sacramento. But he's going to be scouting with the A's. So congratulations to Schmidt, and that's where we're going to end today's show. So if you liked it, hope you hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe, and as always, share with your mom and share with your dad. They need that Rockies content. And if it's grandma and grandpa, that's great too. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a wonderful MLK Day, and I will see you tomorrow.